Was there a strong possibility of having to relocate to find work in your field after school?
Oh no, no way. There's no need to relocate anywhere because let's face it, every town, village, city, no matter where you live, you need a mechanic. You know, people have cars everywhere, no matter where you live. So you need a technician, you need a mechanic to fix them. So yeah, no, that was never a problem.
In fact, on a side note, I've been thinking about possibly going back to college, and one of the perks I would say in doing this job currently is that I can really go to school anywhere, like, because I would still need to work while I go to school. But one of the perks of it is I could get a job anywhere, you know, because again, there's cars everywhere, so they all need a technician to fix them. So the jobs are very plentiful, especially for somebody like myself that has, you know, 5, 6, 7 years of experience. Yeah, I like that fact, though, that I can get a job and I don't really have to worry about ever going without one. So that's definitely a plus.
Would you say that it's easy or hard to find work in your field right now?
Oh, I would say it's definitely easy. A couple times I'm not actively looking for work, but a couple times I've gone online and taken a look, and there's always ads for automotive technicians. You know, it's a little harder to find at the dealerships only because at the dealers, you'll typically find more guys that are in it for the long run. Same thing with independent shops, but I see a lot of chain stores like there's always going to be work.
So did you always want this type of career, or was there ever something else that you were interested in?
So when I was in high school, it was between primarily this, like, sort of auto technician work or engineering, and I wasn't sure which one I wanted to go into. I just knew that whichever one I chose, I wanted to enjoy my job. In high school, that's actually all I cared about. All I cared about was choosing whichever, you know, path was gonna give me the most happiness. I wasn't really considering money, although I know some people do, even in high school. I was considering, like, what am I gonna be most happy doing? So, you know, I was struggling between engineering and automotive, and one of my buddies went to, the trade school that I eventually went to. He's like, hey, why don't you come along? I went, and, you know, I saw all the engines taken apart, the transmissions taken apart. I'm like, you know what, this is just so cool. And that kind of was like, okay, I want to go be a technician. Now, unfortunately, the day-to-day work of it isn't quite like that. It's a little bit different, but I think I would still be inclined to do it because there's a lot of, you know, problem solving, a lot of figuring out when you're a technician, because you got to diagnose a lot of things. But I think the tipping point for me that said, okay, you know, maybe I'll go back to school for engineering was basically just the industry, because, you know, like I've said before, the whole commission-based flat rate system, you know, I think they would have a much better retention rate if they adopted the system that, you know, most independent shops or, you know, just other professions in general do, where you get paid a set hourly rate or a set salary, and that's it, you know, based on experience, and that's it. It doesn't matter how busy the shop is. It doesn't matter how many cars you do, you know, what kind of jobs you do, the hours you book. You know, if they would just salary automotive technicians, there's a chance I would probably stick with this for, you know, the next 20, 30 years. So yeah, that being said, I did have another interest, and, you know, I'm currently pursuing it, going to community college, taking night classes and stuff for, you know, my freshman year, quote unquote, of engineering. So yeah, I did have another interest, and I'm kind of pursuing that at this time as well.
Do you ever have to do any traveling for your job?
No real traveling.
Do you mind telling us how much you make?
Yeah, so this year I'm probably slated to make about $55,000 this year. You know, my first year as a tire guy part-time, I think I made like $15,000 or something. And then my first full-time year, I think I made like $25,000. And then slowly but surely I started getting more experience and getting pay increases. So yeah, this year I'm slated to make about $55,000.
So do you have any other advice for kids that are unsure about what they want to do?
So yeah, I would just say if you are still in high school and you have an interest in becoming a technician, I would actually say to go out, get your little bit of experience first, practice some oil changes, do whatever so that you can get your foot in the door. But actually, I would actually recommend to my younger self to put off going to tech school for at least a year. The reason being is that I really got a feel for the industry within my first year of actual working. And it was then where I started to realize, I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is going to be a 20, 30 year career for me. I just started to really doubt that. So if I had waited like a year or so, I wouldn't have wasted the money on my tech school, because let's say that while tech school is a great thing, it's a nice thing to have on your resume. If you have to pay for it out of pocket, or your parents have to pay for it out of pocket, I would say at least wait. Because like myself, if you were to get in the industry and say, okay, this isn't, what I'm feeling, or, I have some doubts if I'm going to do it long term, it's not worth the investment to go to tech school. But that's just my opinion. The tech school thing really helps you with ASEs, but ASEs are only good if you're going to be if you're going to have a long career. And yeah, as far as getting a job and getting advancement, they're not too big. They do help a little bit, but again, I would say it's better off to get a little bit of experience first before you make the investment, so that you can say, okay, I definitely want to do this. Let me go. And then a lot of them, oh, I can't work and go. No, you can. You can go to work and go to school. A lot of them do have night and part-time courses that, so that you can work during the day. So that's not a problem. But yeah, that would be a big recommendation for anybody.
And now let's say you did start working for 6 months or 12 months and you're like, okay, I definitely want to do this as a career. Experience is so much more important than actual schooling. Now, ASCs are important, and those are those tests that you take, and you get a little certification saying that you're an ASC certified technician. Those are important for moving up, and especially if you want to work at a dealership, they're important. So my advice is this: if you start working 6 months, 12 months, and then you're like, okay, I really want to pursue this as a career, you can either get an automotive technology book and study and read and then take the tests. You don't have to go to trade school in order to take your ASCs. Now, if you are the type of person that, reading a book isn't really going to do it for you, studying on your own isn't, you're not going to do well at it, then yeah, totally look into trade school and see what trade school would be a good fit for you. And then you'll have that sort of classroom training that can get you ready for the ASCs. But in my personal opinion, you can totally be a successful technician that is also ASC certified and never go to trade school. And again, because the hands-on experience is so important in this industry. And yes, you do get some hands-on experience while you're in trade school, but it's usually like 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 times you try out a machine, and it's more of like getting yourself familiar with it. Because by the time, let's say, you finish your schooling and then you go get a job, there could be like 6 months in between the last time you use that machine and when you use it on the job next. So that hands-on is just, you get so much more on the job. So again, if you come to a point where after working for a few months or even a year, you say, I want to do this as a career, decide. If you're the type that can take an automotive technology book and read it and study on your own, go take the ASCs, no need for trade school. But if you're not, if you need that sort of classroom training, like where you go in every day at a certain time because you want to, pass and not waste your money and everything, then yeah, definitely go to trade school. So that would be my advice as far as that.